Tony Alexander-Adams, MBE, is an English football manager and former Arsenal player. Adams spent his entire playing career of 22 years as a defender at Arsenal. He is considered one of the greatest Arsenal players of all time by the club's own fans and was included in the Football League 100 Legends. With Arsenal, he won 4 top-flight division titles, uniquely captaining a title-winning team in 3 different decades, 3 FA Cups, 2 Football League Cups, a UEFA Cup Winners Cup, and 3 FA Community Shields. A statue honouring Adams was unveiled at Emirates Stadium on December 9, 2011, along with statues of Thierry Henry and Herbert Chapman. When his playing career finished, Adams went into football management, spending periods in charge of Wycombe Wanderers, Portsmouth and Azerbaijan side Gabala. Early life: born in Romford, Adams grew up in Dagenham and was a pupil at Hunters Hall Primary School from 1971 to 1978 and then Eastbrook Comprehensive School from 1978 to 1983. Club career: Adams signed for Arsenal as a schoolboy in 1980. He made his first team debut on November 5, 1983 against Sunderland in the First Division, 4 weeks after his 17th birthday. Adams became a regular player in the 1985 Euro 86 season, winning his first major trophy in 1987 when playing in the Football League Cup final win over Liverpool at Wembley. Together with Lee Dixon, Nigel Winterburn and Steve Bold, Adams was part of the famous 4 that lined up in Arsenal's defence, which under George Graham was renowned for its well-disciplined use of the offside trap. On January 1, 1988, he became Arsenal captain at the age of 21. He would remain club captain for the next 14 years until his retirement. Adams's strong discipline of the defence was considered a factor in Arsenal winning the League Cup in 1986, a Euro 87 and then the First Division Championship twice. The first in 1988, a Euro 89 after a win over Liverpool in the final game of the season. The second in 1990, a Euro 91, losing once all season. In 1992, a Euro 93, Adams gained the distinction of being the captain of the first English side to win the League Cup and FA Cup double, lifting the European Cup Winners' Cup the following year. Despite this success, a battle with alcoholism, which started in the mid-1980s, increasingly blighted his life as he was reportedly often involved in fights in nightclubs. On May 6, 1990, Adams crashed his Ford Sierra into a wall in Raleigh and when breathalyzed his blood alcohol level was found to be more than 4 times the legal drink-drive limit. On December 19 that year, at Southend Crown Court, he was imprisoned for 4 months but after being released, his alcoholism continued and he was involved in further alcohol-related incidents, including playing through a match during the 1993 Euro 94 season despite being drunk, falling downstairs and needing 29 stitches to a head wound when drunk, and letting off fire extinguishers and firing a flare gun into a disabled lavatory with teammate Ray Parlour at Pizza Hut in Hornchurch where they were being taunted by supporters of rival clubs. Finally, on September 14, 1996, Adams admitted to the public that he was an alcoholic and, after seeking treatment, found a more sensitive side to his character emerging, which included a return to education and an attempt to learn the piano. He became one of the most high-profile recovering alcoholics in the UK. His battle with alcohol is detailed in his autobiography, Addicted, which was released in May 1998 to enormous critical acclaim. His recovery and rehabilitation were helped in no small part by the arrival of Arsene Wenger as Arsenal manager in October 1996. Wenger reformed the club's dietary practices and the players' lifestyles. Wenger stuck by Adams following his confessions about his drink problem, and the improvements in the regime probably extended Adams's career by several years. Adams rewarded his managers' understanding handsomely, captaining the club to 2 Premiership and FA Cup doubles, in 1997 a Euro 98 and 2001 a Euro 02. He is the only player in English football history to have captained a title-winning team in 3 different decades. In August 2002, just before the start of the 2002 Euro 03 season, Adams retired from professional football after a career spanning almost 20 years, his last match being the last league game of the season at home to Everton. He played 674 matches for Arsenal and was the most successful captain in the club's history. The number 6 shirt that Adams wore when playing was not used again until the 2006 Euro 07 season, when it was assigned to Philippe Senderos. It currently is the squad number of French defender Laurent Koscielny. Just before his retirement as a player, Adams had applied to become manager of Brentford after the resignation of Steve Coppell, but his application was rejected. Nicknamed Mr. Arsenal, he was honoured by Arsenal with a testimonial game against Celtic in May 2002 with many Arsenal legends playing, including Ian Wright, John Lukic and Adams's fellow back four stalwarts, Dixon, Winterburn and Bold. The game finished 1-1 with Lee Dixon, in his final appearance for the Gunners, getting their goal. In March 2003, just 7 months after his retirement and with Arsenal, BBC Sport named Adams as the former Arsenal player that the club would most benefit from returning. In 2004, Adams was inducted into the English Football Hall of Fame in recognition of his impact on the English game, and in 2008 he was placed third in the 50 Greatest Gunners poll on the club's website. A statue of Adams was placed outside Emirates Stadium in celebration of the club's 125th anniversary on December 9, 2011. Manager Herbert Chapman and Arsenal's all-time top goal scorer Thierry Henry and later Dennis Bergkamp were also immortalised with statues outside the ground. International career: Adams made his debut for England against Spain in 1987, and played in Euro 88, scoring one of England's 2 goals. He was the first player to represent England who had been born after the 1966 World Cup win. After a highly promising start to his international career, Adams suffered a series of setbacks during the early 1990s. He was surprisingly left out of the 1990 FIFA World Cup squad by manager Bobby Robson, and missed Euro 92 due to injury. However, he still maintained a regular place in defence, and after the retirement of Gary Lineker in 1992, Adams unofficially shared the captaincy of England with David Platt, though Adams became England captain outright before Euro 96, as Platt's place in the side became less secure. England reached the semi-finals of Euro 96, before losing on penalties to Germany. When England manager Glenn Hoddle took the captain's armband from Adams and gave it to Alan Shearer, it was a bitter pill for Adams to swallow. Speaking at a fans forum in 2008, Adams remarked, "I have some resentment over the way Glenn Hoddle gave the captaincy to Alan Shearer instead of me, but I can let that go. I reacted positively. I disagreed with him, Hoddle, and he thought Alan could get more penalties being a centre-forward. People know my reaction to that." Adams continued to play for the national side, however, and he finally appeared in a World Cup finals in 1998. His international swan song was England's largely unsuccessful Euro 2000 campaign. With Shearer retiring from international football after the tournament, Adams regained the captaincy. However, within months, England lost a World Cup qualifier to Germany in October 2000, the match being the last to be staged at Wembley Stadium before the stadium was torn down for rebuilding. That match was Adams's 60th Wembley appearance, a record. With Sven ran Eriksson eventually taking the helm and under increasing pressure for his place from the emerging and improving Rio Ferdinand, Adams retired from international football before Eriksson picked his first squad. He was the last England player to score at the old Wembley Stadium when he scored England's second goal in a 2-0 friendly win over Ukraine on May 31, 2000. This was also his first goal since he scored in a friendly against Saudi Arabia in November 1988, thus making the record for the longest gap between goals for England. Adams was the first, and remains to date the only, England player to make tournament appearances in 3 separate decades. In total, Adams appeared 66 times for England, scoring 5 times. Managerial and coaching career: after starting a sports science degree at Brunel University, Adams became the manager of Wycombe Wanderers in November 2003. He was unable to prevent the club's relegation to League Two that season, and although the club were top of the table in August 2004, a loss of form saw them fall down the table. He resigned from Wycombe in November 2004, citing personal reasons. He was succeeded by John Gorman. In July 2005, Adams accepted a trainee coaching role with Dutch side Feyenoord with special responsibility for its Jong team, which is a reserve junior side. Adams later had a short spell seconded to Utrecht as a first-team trainee coach in January and February 2006. While at Feyenoord he also worked part-time as a scout for Arsenal, watching games in Italy, France, and the Netherlands. Adams joined Portsmouth as assistant manager to Harry Redknapp in June 2006, a position left vacant by the departure of Kevin Bond. In his first season as assistant, Portsmouth finished ninth in the Premier League, their highest standing since the 1950s, and won the 2007 Euro 08 FA Cup. Adams was appointed caretaker manager of Portsmouth in October 2008, alongside Joe Jordan, following the departure of Harry Redknapp to Tottenham Hotspur. He was subsequently appointed full-time manager. He was sacked in February 2009 after just 16 games in charge, in which Portsmouth picked up only 10 points. In May 2010, Adams signed a 3-year contract to manage Azerbaijani club Gabala FC of the Azerbaijan Premier League. He departed as coach of Gabala Du on November 16, 2011, before the end of the 2011 Euro 12 season. Charitable work. In September 2000, as a result of his own experiences with alcoholism and drug addiction, Adams founded the Sporting Chance Clinic, a charitable foundation aimed at providing treatment, counseling and support for sportsmen and women suffering from drink, drug or gambling addictions. The clinic, which works to the 12-step program philosophy of Alcoholics Anonymous, is based near Liphook in Hampshire and includes Kate Hoey, Alex Ray and Elton John as patrons, and is supported by the Professional Footballers Association. Adams' former Arsenal and England teammate Paul Merson, himself a recovering alcoholic, is also a patron of the charity. His Arsenal testimonial match helped raise £500,000 for his charity, the Sporting Chance Clinic. Adams is a patron for NACO, a charity that provides information, advice and support for anyone affected by their parents' drinking. Post-football career, Adams remains a popular figure with Arsenal fans. In December 2008, more than 6 years after he left the club, Adams led out his Portsmouth side onto the pitch at Arsenal to be greeted with the chant "There's only one Tony Adams" by Arsenal fans. On December 30, 2009, Adams was the guest editor on BBC Radio 4's Today programme. In popular culture, in the 1997 motion picture The Full Monty, Hoare specifically mentions Adams while attempting to explain that a particular part in their dance routine was similar to the Arsenal offside trap. In the debut album Rock Art and the X-Ray Style by Joe Strummer and the Mescaleros, the opening track is named Tony Adams. Ali in the Jungle, a song by the English rock band The Hours, refers to him in its lyrics. In Robert Muchramore's Cherub series, protagonist James Adams chooses the middle name Anthony and last name Adams after Tony Adams when he joins Cherub. See also, One Club Man. References: General, Adams, Tony. Addicted. ISBN 0-00-218795-7. Specific. External links: Tony Adams a Euro FIFA competition record, Tony Adams career statistics at Soxabase, Tony Adams management career statistics at Soxabase, Tony Adams England profile at England Stats, Sporting Chance, Tony Adams at the Highbury Inn.